So yeah, the vulnerability of the menstrual products and the vulnerability of the endocrine disrupting chemicals, because it's almost like it's homeopathic in the wrong direction,
Yeah.
right? We're playing with the master commanders of our entire biology, and without giving that a break, we're literally sprinting towards ovarian cancer, to endometriosis, to infertility on the female side, and absolutely on the male side. If I was an alien and I looked at the numbers, I would be like, oh, you guys are trying to get rid of yourself.
On this episode of the Dr. Tina Show, I am so delighted to be sitting down with my old friend, Darin Olien. You may know Darin better as the co-host of the Emmy Award-winning Netflix docuseries Down to Earth with Zac Efron, or you may know him as the superfood hunter. He spent nearly 20 years exploring the planet looking for superfoods and wrote a book called Super Life. You may know him as the host of the Darin Olien Show, or you may know him best for his latest book, Fatal Consequences. In this book and on this episode, we discuss the pitfalls of everyday toxins, as well as common sense ways to limit your exposure and live a more toxin-free life. Darin and I go way back. I was actually speaking at a conference in Portland, Oregon called Food is Medicine, and Darin came up and introduced himself. We've been friends ever since, and he was my first interview ever in an online platform. So I got to interview him. I was super nervous, and he's the nicest guy. I always learn so much from him, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's jump in. I unfollowed everything, and I told my husband, just keep me abreast. Like, I don't want to know. I don't care. I don't want to know. That the news was so overwhelmingly horrible by the time I stopped looking at the data about the vaccines that I was like,
Yeah.
good
You know,
luck.
I,
Like,
you
good
know,
luck, everybody.
I think what you're saying is really true, because I had my own awareness of like, so, you know, I, from a large perspective, for me, I'm informed enough to support the things that I want to support, right? So from one perspective, I can put it in it's like I want to support, and I have ways in which I'm cultivating that and doing that, of people having, health, water, power, food, shelter, all the things that the certain organizations in the world have claimed that they care and have failed miserably, call it the UNs and everything else. And so if the time and the algorithms shift over the next few months or whatever, it doesn't change my commitments. My commitments are the same. So if I continuously feed my brain full of these polarized just fear, it actually inhibits me in being able to commit and give energy towards those things that for me, it's not changing, right? It's,
Yes.
everything of how to develop and support those things may change, but that's not going to be informed by the mainstream anything.
Yes.
So it's like, what do I really need to know? You could also have faith. If I really need to know something, then I will find out, but it's not going to be through learning anything of any significance really through the mainstream anything.
Right.
So why not? I second your idea of like, I don't need it, because
Yeah.
I know what I'm committed to doing, and I'm gonna keep fucking doing it.
Yeah. Yep. And then I look down at my puppy and he reminds me of life. And I'm like, oh, puppy, happy. I'm going to, I'm just
Yeah.
going to focus there because I can't do anything to change any of this. I think that's what really hit me. It was I can't. And I get messages from people every day that are like, you saved my life. Like I completely overhauled my life, and it was because of the information you were putting out, and you saved my family during COVID and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's great and all, but at the end of the day, the hit I took was so profound. I mean, I had the fucking IRS come to my house, Darin. Like, I got politically targeted. I had a warrant out for me for the state of Oregon over taxes I actually had already paid. I mean, they really came after me to shut me up, and it shut me up. I mean, it wore me out. And I was like, this is not Was it worth it? I don't know. I mean, I'm glad to know I was on the right side of history, but at the end of the day, most people just either want to forget that it happened and move on. Even the people who were, team freedom, like they just want to forget it happened. And then the other people will never ever come around because they can't, because it'll crush their souls to know that they were complicit and responsible in that way. So, I'm just going to sit back and let karma, I'm just going to let karma play out. I'm like, I'm out. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing that I could, and revenge is unbecoming and it ages you. That was it. I was like, I am aging. This is taking my beauty away from me. And I refuse to let ugly people take my beauty away from me. So like, I'm not letting ugly, unhealthy people ruin me.
Well, here's the thing. I'm sorry that that happened to you. And in this kind of delusion of a free democracy. And I think the thing that has helped me through just the curtain that has been, for those of us who want to see it, has just been ripped down, and you're seeing the puppets behind it. The people that I still help, well, that are doing incredible things every day, and I get to interact with them, or I find out, oh wow, this company raising hundreds of millions of dollars is creating an algae-based alternative to PFAS, which is a direct thing that I talk about in the book. And you're like, and there's a lot of money behind it. And when they have committed to it, it's actually going to be cheaper than this gnarly forever chemical. And it's a clean product. And the biggest companies on the planet are already signing on to it.
That's
So
awesome.
you're like, and that's one. I just got off the phone. I can't out it publicly, but with my good friend Paul Hawken, who wrote, Drawdown and Regeneration, and has been a maverick in education around environmental issues and problems and finding solutions and everything else. He's working with some of the top companies on the planet who are committing to doing cleaner ways of growing food, and like legitimately, like not a ESG bullshit, carbon credit, blah, 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 blah. We're talking real stuff because they gave enough time to hear someone like him tell the numbers and literally show the numbers. When you do the right thing, when you follow nature, nature is so abundant that if you continue to go down the implosion road of grab a little profit over and above, and really at the face of destruction of a human and the animals and the pollution of the planet, inevitably it has to implode. It has to. When it does, who knows? But when you actually can turn on and go in the direction of a whole, for lack of a better word, a regenerative, more nature-filled way,